Good morning. It's about 10 a.m. on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Last night we had a tremendous storm blow through. Lots of wind. 3 of my trees are down near the chicken coop. And it's blown stuff all over the field. So I'll be cleaning up stuff for days. But we also got 2 1/4 inches of rain. Hopefully this is the last major storm for a while at least. So the sheep look like they're okay. Let's go check out these new lambs. They've been born a week ago, so happy birthday a week ago, I guess. I'll stay back so you can watch them nurse. Zoom in. So, you number 36. Did you have a bad night last night? She's still limping. Still that front left hoof. So anyway, Greg Judy made a good point in today's or yesterday's video. There's a tendency for people to blame their environment for their situation, and nothing ever good comes from that. You have to take responsibility for your situation, and you have to calculate what you can do to improve it and then do those things. And certainly you have to figure out what things will make it worse and not do those things. You know, his point about saving money and stuff like that, it's absolutely relevant. You know, the game is rigged. It's always been rigged. That's a little secret that I don't think people appreciate, but the game is rigged, the economic game. It's not rigged in your favor. That's why you're not rich. And it will never be rigged in your favor. And there is nothing you can do about that. Now this guy's limping too. Looks like big hooves. So I'll have to go through and catch her eventually. It's always been rigged. The degree of riggedness, there might have been a period of time in the 60s and 50s when it was pretty easy to get ahead. And you might look back into the 80s and the 90s and say, oh, things were easier back then. That may be true. That doesn't change the facts, though. Just because you acknowledge that things used to be easier doesn't make things easier for you right now, does it? You have to take things the way they are and make plans and move forward, right? Now, as a young person, I used to be young. I know it's hard to believe. Greg Judy used to be young. He knows exactly what he's talking about as a young person. He knows what it means to be young, and he can look back with years of experience of being young and give you guys a good formula for being successful. And his formula for success is 100% on the money, and the formula is ridiculously easy. It goes like this. Number 1, spend less than you earn. In other words, save something. And number 2, wisely invest those savings. And that's about it. That's the ingredients for success. In my case, I graduated in the year 2000 with a degree in physics from the University of Washington. And I got a job that paid $40,000 a year at a startup. And one day I went to work, and you know, the dot bomb was starting to happen. And so the boss called a meeting and said, don't worry, everybody, our company's doing just fine. We're not going to lay anybody off. In fact, we're growing so rapidly, we're thinking of hiring some more people, right? And the next day he laid me off. So Since that time, he's tried to hire me again for his other companies, but I can't bring myself to work for that man. Besides, I've had good opportunities since then. And I worked at Amazon for a while. I did a pretty good job there, I think. Certainly the performance review said so. And when I finally left Amazon after 8 years, the HR person kind of laughed at me and said, "Hey, you were making way below what other people in your level were making. You were way underpaid." And I kind of laughed and said, "Well, maybe I would have stayed if you guys actually paid me more." My boss at one point said, "You're making so much money with your stock options and your stock rewards that you don't need a raise." And I tried to explain to him. I said, "Yeah, that was for past things that I've done in the past, and I intend to be compensated for the things I'm doing right now with more earnings and pay raises or stock." And he kind of laughed at that idea. He thought it was silly. So I thought it was silly working for him. Anyway, then I did a startup for a while. That didn't go so well, but I got a couple more jobs, and eventually I landed at a startup that got bought by Apple. And because I had been living frugally, I was able to take a lower salary for my experience level and get the rest in stock options. And they thought I was kind of crazy for doing that, but the company was bought and those stock options translated into Apple stock, and at the time Apple was down very much. And so as Apple stock price rose, I became somewhat wealthy. You know, I had enough money to say that I don't need to work anymore in software, and I don't need to kill my body, sacrificing myself for people who don't even like me. So anyway, long and short of the story is that things don't always go to plan, but you keep going. If you want to get into agriculture, there are some fantastic opportunities right now, especially as a young person, right? And the secret to success in agriculture is you spend less than you earn and you invest those savings wisely. And that's it. So as a young person, you have things that old people don't have. One of those things is physical fitness and the ability to actually work. As I walk here, I'm in my mid-40s, probably my late 40s, I guess now. My muscles are all sore. And I really couldn't sleep last night because of the storm. So a little bit sleep deprived. Just bending down and picking things up is not a simple task anymore. And I imagine it's going to get worse as I get older. I have to think more and more carefully about how I use my limited stamina. Another thing you young people have is you have hope. You have drive. You have vision, things like that. Us old people, at some point we kind of realize that it doesn't matter how successful you are, in money terms. It really doesn't matter. What's more important are those family relationships and good friends. And ultimately, the only thing we really want is to go home to a nice rocking chair and a warm meal. That's it. I mean, there's no other luxury in life that I can think of that I want more than that. I apologize for the wind noise if there is no wind noise. So, but you young people, you have dreams. You have something you're willing to sacrifice for, things that you can't see yet that are in store for you. And Greg Judy is absolutely right. If you try and fail and try and fail and try and fail some more, as long as you keep trying, you will succeed. Eventually you will succeed. You won't succeed the first time, the second time, the third time. But you will succeed eventually as long as you keep trying. It's once you give up, that's when you fail. And I know that sounds like platitudes. It probably is. But when I got fired from my first job, laid off, and I started applying for work, everybody else and their uncle was applying for work too. And my resume had nothing on it of significance. And so I went and taught Korean. I went to Korea and taught English for a year. The boss fired me a couple days before my bonus was due, for no reason other than the bonus was due. Luckily, I got to attend my father-in-law's funeral in Korea. But I came back to America and I had to accept a job. I think it was making $25,000 a year because it was the only job available. And my manager quickly recognized that I had abilities far above my pay grade. And he also realized that the current dev lead was holding the company back because of his incompetence. And so I solved that problem for him. I got another job at Amazon. Wasn't making much money, but it was a job. He offered me a small raise. He knew that it couldn't compete with Amazon, but he tried anyway and wished me luck, you know. So, you know, stuff like that happens. You just keep going forward. You get fired, you get another job. You fall down, get yourself up and go again. You don't give up. So hopefully this will be successful. If not, then I'll try again. Guys, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.